feeling. Go ahead, brother. Let's take the black seed for instance. Come on, drop it down. Come on. This is nation building. Let's go. The black seed. Teach them. Go ahead. Teach.
Just imagine the camera there. You just building. You're not just talking to us.
He's at his best natural.
That's true. Me too.
You would have just did.
I am too.
He at his best.
I am too. But this is something that is well needed, for the population, for us, for people, for us that's growing. For us that's grown, we need to understand and know what is what. We need to understand the science of different herbs and how it relates to our body. We need to know how to basically properly combine our food for easier digestion. We need to know that we need to be in the sun. We need to know that we need to have proper water.
Did you see the report came on CNN last week about vitamin D?
Well, vitamin D is basically melanin. So
yeah, but I'm talking, our people believe, when white folks say something, CNN, they don't lie.
Yeah, right.
CNN publicly said last week that the research for the last 100 years, and you'll find it online, the research for the last 100 years regarding vitamin D was wrong. And they specifically mentioned all of the misinformation regarding African Americans that they was putting out, because they were saying we were the ones that had the lowest vitamin D deficiencies. They found out that the human body don't need the vitamin D, but like all our people been saying for generations, just get in the sun. Eat your organic dark green vegetables, and the body just it's sufficient. And they did the research on it, so you could actually find that online.
So the devil told the truth.
The devil told the truth.
The devil's gonna have to start telling the truth, but the one thing for sure, because it's about their time to get off this planet, so they're gonna have to reveal a lot of stuff to us anyway. But the main thing that I've been talking about that vitamin D thing for a very long time, and I always say vitamin D is basically melanin, because once you have a specific amount of quote unquote vitamin D and you're in the sun, what happens? You get dark. What is that dark? Where's that darkness coming from? It's coming from the root of your skin cells, the pigmentation, and it's called melanocytes. So you dealing with melanin. And once the rays or the energy or the frequency from the sun hits your skin, it activates those melanin sites and brings it to the surface. So you become darker. So that's vitamin D. White folks don't have that. You see what I'm saying? They don't have melanocytes. They don't have melanin. Therefore, you got to stay out the sun. They walking around with umbrellas and, trying to get away from the sun, because for them it's cancerous. It's too strong for them, the radiation of the sun, you see. So, that's good, and they now coming out and keeping it real.
There's a lot of money in vitamin D pills and treatments, and they extracted melanin out of it and selling it in tinctures and pills. So they literally popping vitamin melanin like it's a vitamin form. So they always know, but in the capitalist and pluralist system where the money at, they're going to always go with the bottom line. Like, what's profit? Forget the health.
They even got melanin pills to make people go to sleep. Now, where's these melanin pills coming from?
Exactly.
That's the question. The melanin pill, I believe that the melanin pills are coming from these different organs and these bodies that, or these boys that just get killed, or people that just wind up being missing and stuff like that. They take that and they produce makeup. They produce, the placenta of the babies. They take that, some woman, they don't know, to keep the placenta, and they just take the placenta and they make these vitamin D, melanin pills, melanocytes pills. Exactly. Makeup, lipstick, all types of crazy stuff. Product.
I tell you, when it comes to studying life in space, they just showed it 3 days ago. They already sent the old white dude in outer space. That thing is, when they do that testing for that, they we don't know why, but Europeans' bones and stuff get brittle, but black people's don't. So they literally could go in space and their muscles won't get all weak and their bones won't get brittle, and they melanin. I mean, you know, like they publicly admits it. I mean, on different levels. I mean, you know, but at the same time, they hide it. I mean, you know, at the same time they hide it. You know, so it's like, you know, I wrote a book years ago called the Angel's Diet book. And when I was doing the research for it, it was like, you know, it just blew my mind how Caucasians they did the mathematics on stuff. I mean, it ain't like, you know, like the actual scientific studies.
Yeah, they do they study us all day, every day.
What happens when mice fast
and see
other ones overeat.
Right.
I mean, and how long they live and how they get sick and die, and you know, and so they take that information and use it for profit.
Right.
They be like, oh man, we can literally target black people with certain
the same way.
Stuff. They just admitted on TV that they got the what they putting inside the red wine.
What they putting inside?
They put the what they just admitted on CNN about 3 days ago. They suing the red wine manufacturers. The red wine manufacturers take their money and pay the politicians, the lobbyists, to put out to have specific doctors. Oh, you need red wine for this.
Oh, not only that.
Chocolate for this. And people, the new thing is dark chocolate. The thing is red. Now they took and studied that, and when they studied, like, they took them right to the spirit store. They got Wild Eyes Rose and expensive stuff, cheap stuff. They got all these different red wines, and they said it contains arsenic.
Ooh, child.
They like arsenic, and what it's doing is it's literally targeting the reproductive organs.
Arsenic is in rice.
They scientists when they come to that.
Except wild rice, but arsenic is in white rice, and the thing about it is too, it's interesting that you mention that because they encourage pregnant women to drink 1 glass of wine. It's okay. My thing is, why would you want to even drink any type of alcohol while you have a child? Yeah, he's the devil. That's true. But it's interesting now because now there's a connection to the drinking of the wine and the reproductive system.
All you gotta do, my thing is, all you gotta do is follow the money. I mean, you follow the money, you get straight to the devil's truth. Because I don't care if it's slavery, sexism, classism, whatever it is, you'll see they may say molasses, slaves, you know, rum, money. That's the hustle. I mean, if it's any form of discrimination against anyone, whatever, technology, the internet, organic foods, GMOs, it's all about the people.
It's all about the money.
When you follow that money and understand how they think, you're going to always get to the bottom line. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? Right or wrong, it's like, you know, that's where they at. That thing, they can make money in truth. You got doctors out there that's going to teach you all kind of sciences on herbs and fasting, and I mean, because that thing is I'm selling this book, I'm selling my DVD.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's how capitalism and pluralism operates. I mean, at the end of the day, you'd be like, I got the truth, $29.99. But if you go back in time, you'll see people with snake oil like, I got this cures anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and you go, where's the mathematics?
People do that now.
Yeah.
You got them now that say that I
snake
care
oil
everything.
salesman. But
they don't care everything. The only, even if you ate properly, you don't breathe properly. Even if you breathe properly, you don't think properly. Even if you thought properly, you're living in an environment that is conducive against anything that is proper.
You ain't never lie.
So therefore, from us walking down the street, breathing the air, walking past people that's negative, that enters us, that brings it back to the reality of Allah, the remembrance of Allah being the greatest force if we but knew. Very important science in that. You dig what I'm saying? Which many people say, well, you know, don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. I think Salat is one of the most important things that a person can ever do. The reason why is that is it purifies you. If you do it properly. You have people that go through the ritual, and that's okay if they need to feel better, get up and go do what they have to do. But the purification process that goes into true Salat I don't find many like it because a lot is back into our ancient way of activity. Whether we're dealing with the salute of the sun and the moon and other monetary planets and all of those different realities, it brings us back. Not even speaking of the chakra system and different organs that are being purified by the motions and the nerves that are being touched. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just that but I would think that in this society in the Western Hemisphere and how we live, period, is not conducive to life.
Right.
It's not to our life.
Right.
It's definitely not conducive to our life.
The indigenous
You
life,
see what
right.
I'm saying? It's very important that we get away from here. It just says an important game because, for one thing, we could take as many areas we want. For instance, we could take activated charcoal. We could cleanse out all the heavy metals. We could turn the poisons that we breathe. Help people with cigarettes, pour the nicotine out, drug addiction, the foods that we eat that has drugs in it. We know the activated charcoal deals with all of that, but you will still have it in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just you walking
It's
around with
happening
your
every day.
What makes your couches noise? Which brings me to something, not to get it off a point. You have, and I just helped somebody the other day because they have hemorrhoids. And I had to tell them that 80% of hemorrhoid cases are not hemorrhoids. They're pinworms and flukeworms. Tapeworms. There are two forms of tapeworms. One come from beef and one come from the pig. And another one can come from fish, which is a flukeworm as well. And they have found that when you cleanse yourself of the parasites, the hemorrhoid magically disappeared. So in reality, they were suffering from an infestation of worms. That's it. It wasn't that they had some type of rip or tear and abrasion for which caused a hemorrhoid. It's that they were toxic. They had too many parasitic animals. One thing, like I always say to people, let's say you have a house full of mice. If we was to take and say, we'll leave some meat out, we'll leave some cake out, and then we'll say we're going to leave some fruit out, and we're going to leave some herbs out, and we're going to leave this out. When you come in the morning, you can sit on the floor. They're not going to eat the apple. They're not going to eat it. They ain't going to eat the herbs, but they're going to eat everything next to it.
The meat.
Right.
The junk.
So the rodents, in the which are parasites, that's what they feed off of. So they can only exist. Now, if you move and you leave this house, all of them will die. They won't be here no more. They'll leave your house. It's the same thing with the human body. If you let your body be an environment for which mice, rodents, roaches can live in, then they will feast all day. But if you remove that from that environment and it leaves it empty and leave nothing but the herbs, the fruits, and the vegetables, then they can't exist.
Just if you look at those mice that he described in rodents and everything, they're parasites on an animalistic level, and it's the same thing on a microscopic level. You know, if we have, like he just explained, if you leave some meat around, or you leave some cake or some toxic low vibration food, you know, you'll see the mice, you'll see the roaches that come crawling, and just look at those mice and roaches, the virus or the parasites or the bacteria in the body. You know? So when we put that stuff in our body, then we wonder, why am I sick? You know, but if you leave some fruits, like you said, some herbs and things around, you won't see them coming around. So if we put that stuff in our body, the mice or the microscopic mice and rats and things like that, which are the parasites, the virus, they won't even come. They won't be able to thrive, or they won't even be able to exist in the body. And he mentioned something. Brother Minister Salih mentioned something earlier about the devil's being able to experiment on us and how they know how to experiment. A brother asked me years ago. He was working in a laboratory. He asked me, he said, "You ever seen a white rat or white mouse in nature?"
No.
They created in the laboratory.
No. They always create in the lab, and that's what they often experiment on. So, if you see them experiment on white
Wow, that
rats
makes so much sense.
and white mice, right? And if you see them maybe doing an experiment with a black rat or brown rat or brown, they really seeing what works on grafted life versus non-grafted life. So yes, they are literally experimenting on the differences between original people and non-original people, as you say, color people, what works, what doesn't work. So it's not a conspiracy theory to think that these devil scientists or Yaqub's doctors, ministers, nurses, and cremators doing the work today that they were set to do 6,000 years ago.
And you know what else, which to support what the brother was saying here is like I always tell my clients, I'm like, disease is never acquired, it's always earned. You earned that disease. You ate what you ate, and you developed what you developed, and you caught what you caught, so you earned what you earned. You know, and some people want to go against it, and it's like, listen, the type of food that you eat or the type of disease that you have cannot sustain in my body. Why? Because we have different types of environment, internal environment. My environment is clean. Parasites cannot live in my internal system. Why? Because I do not eat the same food that you're eating. So and then another interesting thing is with children that has diabetes at like 5 years old, type 1 diabetes at 5. A sister had to tell me, oh no, I was a vegetarian while I was pregnant with her, and I don't know what happened. I said, okay, well, what did you do prior to you becoming a vegetarian? And you being a vegetarian, that really doesn't mean anything, honestly. You see, you have to always detox the body before transitioning into another state of health or wellness. And this is what I teach with my consultations. For those that want to go into a new transition of life or diet, listen, you got to clean up the junk, a real deep cellular cleanse, clean up that junk, and then bring in the fresh nutrients and the fresh food and the well-being, because you're always going to acquire or earn what it is that, the diseases, because you're still toxic. You get what I'm saying? All the new food, that all the good food that you're eating now, all it's gonna do is adding on to the old junk that you never cleansed out your body.
And
So
it also starts with the thoughts too. Like health it's a holistic science.
right,
We could eat the right foods and all of that stuff, but if we still think in negative toxic thoughts toxify the body.
right,
Fear, stress, all
right,
that stuff weakens the immune system. They got
definitely,
scientific studies that show this.
right,
So if we, eating all the holistic foods, but we thinking the toxic thoughts, and we wonder why we're not getting results. And the messenger pointed this out, was in our Savior's Arrival, How to Eat to Live. He said you can eat the right foods, but if you don't have the right thinking to go with the How to Eat to Live, you're not going to get the full results of it. So it's interesting because we in 2015 where everybody wants to be healthy now, everything's organic, but people still dealing with sickness. Why?
Well, I think it's that radiation. Go ahead. Well, I think it's a lot of that mind control that's happening. A lot of radiation that's happening as well. Them chemtrails that they spraying up in the air all over, even in the continent. I never seen it in Congo as of yet. The last time I've been to Congo was 3 years ago, so I don't know what they doing now. I've been to Senegal 2014. They was spraying